Welcome, fellow Monster Girl hunters. Today we'll be talking about the Aka-oni, or Red Oni, also known as Red Troll. Oni is a kind of yokai, ogre, or troll in Japanese folklore. They are typically portrayed as hulking figures with one or more horns. Stereotypically, they are conceived of as blue, red, or green colored, wearing loincloths or tiger pelts, and carrying an iron kanabu. They are popular characters in Japanese art, literature, theater, and appear as stock villains in the well-known fairy tales of Monotaru, Peach Boy, Isonbushi, and Kabutori-jisan. An old etymology for Oni is that the word derives from the Onyomai reading of the character, meaning to hide or conceal, due to Oni having the tendency of hiding behind things and not wishing to appear. This explanation is found in the 10th century discovery Wamayoshio, which reveals that the Oni at the time had a different meaning, a soul, spirit of the dead. The character for Oni in Chinese also means a dead or ancestral spirit, but not necessarily an evil specter. According to Chinese Taoist origins, for the concept of Oni has been proposed by Takahashi Masaki. The Oni was synchronized with Hindu Buddhist creatures such as the man-devourer Yakshi and Rakashi, and became the Oni whom torments sinners as wanderers of Jingoku, hell, administrating sentence passed down by the hell's administrator, King Yama. The hungry ghost called Gaki has also been sometimes considered a type of Oni. Accordingly, a wicked soul beyond rehabilitation transforms into an Oni after death. Only the very worst people turn into Oni while alive, and these are the Oni causing troubles among the humans as presented in folklore. Some scholars have even argued that the Oni was entirely a concept of Buddhist mythology. Kinko Cross, Monster Girls Encyclopedia, Volume 1, the Aka-oni, or Red Oni, is a member of the ogre family called the Oni. They are found only in the lands of the Pangu. Horns extend from their foreheads, and their skin is as ruddy as their name indicates. With their fantastic strength, Aka-oni wield giant iron clubs with nonchalance, and are feared as a horror by people who live in their vicinity. Despite this, they are by no means vicious monsters. Though their words and actions can be coarse, they have a fine, hearty disposition, and are disinclined to make much over small details. They take no notice of the fear they instill in humans, and are said to be thrilled to find the occasional flask of liquor or man placed before them in sacrifice, though they do nothing to merit such offerings. Aka-oni love liquor, and men above all else. They drink rice wine consistently, securing their perpetual drunkenness and reddening their already ruddy faces. On occasion, an Aka-oni will visit the human settlement and carry back yet more alcohol to her den, along with a human man if she catches the sight of one who strikes her fancy. She drinks with him and, after a good round of carousing, enjoys him as an accompaniment to the wine, taking him flat on his back against the floor. When she has her fill after a number of torrid unions, she returns to the bottle. The Aka-oni have a saying, wine is far more tasty after a good fuck. The effect is more than psychological. The essence they absorb from men may actually accentuate the savor of the wine. The effect may be even stronger when an Aka-oni has imbued essence from her husband. Fear of the Aka-oni is fostered by the belief that they devour the men they abduct. In a sense, this is true, for when her Aka-oni takes a living man, she will make him her husband and never release him, instead reveling with him day after day in a feast of wine and flesh. Men not made into husbands are used as accompaniments at the galas Aka-oni regularly hold for the more inebriated monsters residents of Zimboku couple with men one after another. Revelers often choose a husband from the men on offer at these galas. For this reason, it is rare for a man to return after being abducted by an Aka Oni. The rumors and fears may be a bit overdone, but are nonetheless quite understandable. There are other Oni of various different colors, such as the Ao Oni, blue Oni, each of which have their own peculiarities. Up next, we have the Kappa. Kappa, or River Child, also known as Kawatoru, River Boy, Kamakiko, Horse Puller, Kawatora, River Tiger, or Suiko, Water Tiger, is an amphibious yokai demon or imp found in traditional Japanese folklore. They are typically depicted as green, human-like beings with webbed hands and feet, and a turtle-like carapace on their backs. A depression on their heads, called as dish, retains water, and if this is damaged or the liquid is lost, the kappa is severely weakened. The kappa are known to favor cucumbers and love to engage in sumo wrestling. They are often accused of assaulting humans in water and removing the magical organ called shirikodomo from the victim's anus. The kappa is said to be roughly humanoid in form and about the size of a child, inhabiting the ponds and rivers of Japan. Clumsy on land, they are at home in the water and thrive during warm months. It is typically greenish in color and either scaly or slimy skinned, with webbed hands and feet, and a turtle-like carapace on his back. Inhuman traits include 3 anuses that allow them to pass 3 times as much gas as humans. Kappa are generally the size of a human child. Despite their small stature, they are physically stronger than a grown man. One particular trait is that it has a cavity on its head called a sera that retains water or some sort of liquid, which is regarded to be the source of the kappa's power or life force. This cavity must be full whenever a kappa is away from the water. If it dries out or as water is spilled, the kappa loses its power and may even die. The kappa are sometimes said to smell like fish, and they can swim like them. According to some accounts, its arms are connected to each other with the torso and can slide from one side to the other. While they're primarily water creatures, they do on occasion venture onto the land. When they do, the dish on their head can be covered by a metal cap for protection. Folk beliefs claim that cucumbers are their traditional favorite meal. At festivals, offerings of cucumbers are frequently made to the kappa. Sometimes the kappa is said to have their favorite foods, such as Japanese eggplant, soba, buckwheat noodles, natto, fermented soybeans, or kabachi. In Edo, Old Tokyo, there used to be a tradition where people would write the names of their family members on cucumbers and send them afloat into the streams to mollify the kappa, to prevent the family from coming to harm in the streams. In some reason, it is customary to eat cucumbers before swimming as protection, but in others it was believed that that act would guarantee an attack. A cucumber filled with sushi roll is known as a kappamaki. From the Monster Girl Encyclopedia, the kappa, or river whelp, is an aquatic monster that lives in the river and wetlands of Zipangu. Kappa resemble humans, but have green skin and rough plate on their heads and shells on their back. They have webbed appendages that allow them to swim with ease. Kappa tend to be mischievous and contentious, but are not especially vicious. It is common for a young kappa to play among human children. They are especially fond of a Zempengu game they call sumo, which involves knocking one opponent out of a ring and onto the ground. As they are built stronger than human girls, they are likely to be able to pin down even boys. These matches may be used to identify a suitable mate to target in the future. When the kappa is an adult and ready to copulate, the kappa determines her future husband while playing sumo with human boys. During these games, she may find one that she gets along with especially well. When the monster is mature, their friendship often becomes more amorous Consequently, the monster will invite her former friend into her bed and copulate with him. Into her bed and copulate with him. When the body of a kappa is wet, her physical abilities are heightened. The wettening of her scales, which look like clothes, causes them to cling tightly to her body, indicating her arousal and swelling libido. This makes kappa found near bodies of water quite dangerous. Men should be especially careful when approaching rivers and lakes, lest they be dragged in and engaged in coitus by a kappa. A river whelp's plate is her weakness, quite receptive to stimulation and wet at all times. If it dries, her power will evaporate. It is so sensitive that touching it assails her with such pleasure that she is unable to move. Kappa are exceedingly fond of cucumbers. One theory holds that it is not so much the flavor that draws them, but the vegetation's form that instinctually calls to their monstrous nature. In other words, kappa favor cucumbers because they serve to hone their sexual skills. Thank you for joining me. Please look forward to the next video where we will be going into beast humans.